power in the house tonight. So, yeah, we're going to try to have this as just, as pleasant of a discussion as we can, talk about the show, and ask some questions and make sure we can get you all's input, as you see fit. So I'll kick it off with some introductions here so you can know who's speaking and who we are. My name is Daviorr Snipes. I'm a theater actor and also a film and voice actor as well. I do work locally here with the Alliance Theater and also with Working Title Playwrights. And I'm also a co-host on the Alliance Theater podcast. And I will toss it over to my friend next to me.
My name is Puerta. I'm a volunteer on the Urban Fantasy track. And I also have an MFA in film and television and have worked some in that with that.
Nice.
As you do.
My name is Gary Mitchell. Yes, Star Trek fans is my real name. I am the co-director of the American Sci-Fi Classics track on the other side of the hotel. This year is our 10th year running that track.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Been coming to DragonCon since '99. I've missed 2. Well, counting last year, 3. And
we don't count last year.
I was there for and we do a Thursday night panel on YouTube and Facebook every week. We started it once the pandemic started. So if you like this kind of panel stuff, check us out. Find us on the YouTube. Year and a half of content for you.
Oh yeah. Awesome. I should plug the Urban Fantasy track has also started doing virtual content on our Facebook page and our YouTube. So if you want to check out that as well, Carol just pumps out the panels. I don't know how she does it throughout the year.
Yeah.
She really does.
And we're going to give the floor to our final person out of the end who's making his panel debut.
Yes. My name is Anthony Liggins. This is my first panel here at DragonCon, but this is my 21st year coming to DragonCon. So I'm also the co-host of this Fandom Hybrid podcast.
Woohoo!
The host is here. You can find us on all streaming platforms. So I'm excited to be here.
All right, y'all. Well, so let's kind of kick it off here, starting with the panel. So the concept of Project Power, a Netflix original movie, came out last year, 2020, starring Jamie Foxx, directed by Henry Yost and Ariel Schulman. I know I'm probably saying those names incorrectly, so apologies to Henry Yost, but who came from a horror thriller background, directed Paranormal Activity 3 and 4, as well as Nerve, film with Dave Franco, which I actually kind of like. So if you haven't seen that, maybe that's something interesting to check out. So the concept, there is a pill that you can pop that can give you superpowers, but with 2 caveats. Number 1, for 5 minutes, and number 2, you don't know what superpowers you are going to get. So that is the initial concept. The first time, yes. And once you take it and you get your powers, that is the power that you will always have. But you could take the pill and literally explode. Yeah. So it's up to you. So, question for the panel, kicking it off is, what were your initial impressions and initial reactions to the show, how it was done, the concept? I'll kick it off with Annie.
I really love the concept, actually. And I thought the way they kind of, a lot of times with sci-fi, it can get very not grounded in reality. It can go, way out there. But it was so, like, I thought this could actually happen, Like the way they even explained it, it just felt realistic in a way that sometimes, sci-fi doesn't always feel. And I really loved it.
Yeah, I've been a fan of superheroes most of my life, and it's not an original concept, but it was well executed, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that the pill itself looked cool, that it lit up. I liked the whole randomness of it, and like you said, the way they played with it, that's based on DNA.
Yeah, the science.
Whatever random DNA it happens to lock onto. So you get one guy who's suddenly like bulletproof because turtle shell, or you get somebody who's invisible, or you get somebody who just explodes. Literally, and sorry, night, good luck. Bad luck being you. That was another touch. I like the fact that it wasn't just everybody suddenly is Superman and running around.
Right.
There was a risk and edge to it.
I really like the concept. The first thing I thought of was Limitless, if you remember Limitless.
Yes.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, and then there was a comic book series or series of books called Wild Cards, which was very similar to that as well. And I was really looking forward to seeing it. And who doesn't like Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the big pull. And I think it came on like right after the Old Guard. So I was thinking, okay, well, Netflix is going into this superhero original thing, which I was kind of looking forward to. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Gary, you mentioned something that I want to dive into, but before I dive into that, does anybody have any, like their initial reactions to the show that they might have had, just perspectives or just like initial reactions from seeing it the first time? Okay. So looking at the concept, y'all, about the dangers, Gary, I think you really talked about like the dangers of what can happen with that pill. Talk about like for the panel, and you can take it like however y'all wanted it in whatever order, but the concept of the risk of you don't know what happens, you don't know what power. It's one thing if you know the powers that you're gonna get, but like the concept of you have no idea, and literally if you take it, you could die. Like, talk about like the stakes that gives the show, and how does that change the dynamic from like any other typical superhero genre, like a Limitless or something like that kind of dealt with
that? I came at it sort of from the perspective of you have this disadvantaged population that was taken advantage of. They were desperate, they were looking for something, and the pill gave them their opportunity to get something they didn't have, which was power, and some semblance of control. And the risk of taking the pill sort of outweighed that internal desire for something bigger, to be something bigger. And I think for a lot of us, especially in this society, we are always kind of looking for that, wanting to be better, wanting to be something more. And I just thought Telios took advantage of that just with their experiment. So that was sort of the way I sort of approached the show, the movie, when I was watching it.
Yeah. I think what about that line of like, I think I kind of loved that Robin never took it, and that she just like, she was like, I've seen somebody blow up, and I may be willing to deal for my family and take other risks, because she took a lot of risks throughout the film, but I'm not taking that risk. And I really loved that they had her character make that decision. And even at the end of the film, you know, like sometimes you'll have a character that is sticking to one thing, but then for the climax, you know, you're gonna break their one rule, right? And she never broke her rule. And even the song at the end in the credits was, you know, her word was her power. She didn't need the pill. She could stand up and get her power through other means.
Yeah, she found her inside.
Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, because I just think about Newt, which another thing is like, it's pure storyline that everybody's power kind of did theme to what they are. You know, Newts are known as, you know, salamanders are associated with fire, so becoming a human torch was thematically fitting, but what it did to him was terrible. And I did like the fact also they show why you don't take it while you're already on it, because that was another question I would have had if they hadn't answered it there. All right, well, if it lasts 5 minutes, why don't I just take another one? And then you just melt and die. But I like that. It does mean that it does explain why some people won't take it, or why. Because it's like, if you know, honestly, that is something I think the movie did address, is the fact that, like you were saying, people will seize power, especially the powerless. And I think that's why it was important it was set in New Orleans after Katrina, with people who were desperate.
Oh, you're stealing my thunder. That's exactly where I was going to go. Is you just talked about it, and Anthony, you brought it up when you were making that point. Is the crucialness of like the setting, like because you don't see a lot of things set in New Orleans, you know, and it's just, you know, talking about that setting and what that does for this particular story. You were hinting on it. Is there anything else y'all want to add into that? Because I think that is so crucial in talking about when it's a community of folks who are desperate how that changes the dynamic of what they're seeking in regards to power and what that power is. I think that's so crucial and truly makes this set apart from a lot of different superhero stories. Was there anything else y'all wanted to talk about in regards to that setting in New Orleans particular? Because it is a character in the movie.
Yeah.
Because they make sure that they kind of showcase the city in addition to everything else. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I even wrote in my notes right here, like, the location, New Orleans, very intentional. Like, I mean, the system has failed New Orleans countless times, you know? And the fact that they decided to test run this on this city that's already gone through so much is just a sort of another way that they're using these people, you know? It seemed intentional from the government, not necessarily a government agency, we don't really know.
Yeah, that's still a little.
It's
They're
not
definitely
super
military
clear.
contracting.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely some sort of military contracting people that have some sort of power and money using the people of New Orleans to nefarious ends, you know? But also the desperation of the people in New Orleans goes hand in hand with that, you know? It's a...
I mean, when you look at like Robin's story, you know, to show where the desperation, she's a really good person. And you wouldn't think that someone like her would sell drugs, but her mother is sick and she needs the money, and this is what she's doing to do that. And you know, it's difficult. It's sort of like a statement on what is a difficult thing that people in those situations have to do, which is they're taking advantage of the people who are with them. Like, she's selling this drug that could potentially kill people, but yet she's doing it for a reason. She wants to get medicines to help her mom. Her mom is, I guess she has cancer. They're not really
I think it was diabetes.
But you know,
It was insulin, I think.
Yeah, she needed insulin, and if she didn't get the insulin, like a lot of diabetics, if you don't get your insulin, you're gonna die.
you're gonna die. And that's what she was faced with, a desperate situation. And once again, we're talking about a population that's desperate. And Robin is reflective of that as well.
I got to follow up to that. Gary, what do you have for her?
Well, I was gonna say that's also, I think, really informs her relationship with Frank, and that's why he doesn't bust. There are two reasons I think he doesn't bust her.
Okay.
Is the fact that he understands her situation and why she's doing it, and the fact that he needs the pills himself.
Mhm.
And I'm really not sure which one is the stronger motivation for him.
Yeah. I think he definitely cares about her, and he also cares about the city a lot. I mean, his love for New Orleans, I mean, even they made it sort of visual by, in the beginning, when he's going to work, he's wearing a jersey, a Saints jersey, instead of like a uniform or like a suit and tie sort of detective outfit. Because his love for the city, I mean, he would do anything for New Orleans, really.
And I think that is reflective of, to answer your question, he loves the city so much that he will let her continue to do it because he can get it to combat, save the city.
Okay, okay.
That's where I was going.
Let me go into that because I got a question about that, the ambiguity of those two characters, Robin and Frank. Because to the notions that we're bringing out, they have such love for this city, particularly thinking about Frank, you know, sworn to protect.
Yes.
You know, we know there's a lot of issues that discussions we're having nationally with police and so forth. But as this character is presented, he is a true blue guy who is here to do the right thing. So, but does that justify him allowing this person to sell these pills to a community that is the most underserved, and to frankly contribute to destroying that community? What is the line for Frank where he ceases to be the upstanding guy? Because right now he's playing both sides, and I don't know, and that's making him very, very gray and maybe even leaning towards the dark.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with him is the simple fact that she's not the only dealer. I think if she was the only dealer, he'd just shut her down. But the fact that there are other ways for other people to get these pills, he knows he needs them to keep up. It becomes a war of escalation.
I think.
And I think that's how he justifies it to himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's really as justifiable as that.
Well, I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying,
no.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, that's what he thinks, but really, I mean, it's shady. And
Well, I like it. Well, it's shady.
it's shady. And he really is it more about, I think it's more about him wanting power
Okay, talk to me.
than it is about I mean, why do people become cops in the first place?
Uh-oh.
there are a lot of reasons.
You know,
Not all of them are good.
and I'm not saying that there's ways to serve a city that you love that don't include becoming a police officer, right? And his decision to become a cop probably had something to do with wanting some power over people. So, you know, it's not that much of a stretch that he's really doing this because he wants power. For himself.
I don't know if I could go. I don't know if I can go along with that.
Okay.
I don't think we know enough. We don't know enough about his character. Like his
Yeah.
dad and his grandfather could have been cops. He could have been a kid when Katrina hit and be like, this is how I can help protect the city after Katrina. He loves his city.
Yeah.
So he may have felt powerless, and the way he wanted power was to become a cop, but that was the power to help serve his city. And I think that may have contributed to this idea of escalation. Like the bad guys are using the pill. The only way we can combat them is if we do it too. And he wants to protect the city, so he's
Okay.
gonna do
So
that.
if I may, Gary,
Sure.
just to kind of piggyback on that thought line that Anna and Anthony are on right now, that's the thing I think that is so interesting, because if you mentioned like that loss of power, and when you are the authority figure and you are experiencing a loss of power that you can't even comprehend, because like he tells Courtney B. Vance, like the chief, that we can't even, we're not even fighting on the same turf with these guys right now. It's my question is what is that line? I keep worrying about what is that line that Frank is capable of crossing to further protect the city, because it's only a matter of time before he becomes addicted, and you can probably even make the argument that maybe he is addicted to it at this current place, because with something like that, it's logical that when you have that kind of power, it's how do you turn it off? So it's thinking more on that concept of when you are the person of authority and you lose that power and you're watching your city be taken away, how far will you go? There is no line at that point, or
Yeah.
is there?
Well, I think that's one of the biggest lines between him and Art.
Okay.
And if I may quote Kanye, do you have the power to let power go? Art wants nothing to do with that power. He only takes it, like you were saying, there's those people who I will never do this until they get to that point. And he's like, I know how powerful I am. I know what my power is. I could have stopped this 40 minutes into the movie, but I'm not doing that. Whereas Frank is very much, I need the power to keep up, and then he can't let it go. I think he was already addicted to power before he had power.
I think, like, let's say that the military group was successful in creating a long-term pill, right? The pill that gives you the powers
eternal,
forever.
Yeah.
I think that Frank would have taken that pill.
Yeah.
I do not think that any of the other characters would have, right? Because I don't think for Frank it's like, I just need to solve this problem and then we don't need any of this. I think he would want that long-term power over, you know what I mean? Over to fight crime or however he sees that he could serve.
And I put this out here to the audience. I mean,
I'm not saying that he's coming from a bad place.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
there is
I like him. I think he was, generally.
there is the
but-
notion that your passion, your greatest passion, can also be your greatest detriment.
Yeah.
Because if you are so passionate about it, then there are no stops that you will go that are in your way to achieve that passion. And if his passion is that protecting that city at all costs, I mean, that can be kind of how villains are created, So I don't know. So I don't know if there's any further thoughts on that before we go to the next one. Just a second.
Well, I was gonna actually say that if they were gonna continue the series, that he would have become the villain, because there would have been a need to stop him from continuing to use the pill. I'm not completely disagreeing with you about Frank. It's just, I think he sees the pill, he sees the power as a way to protect the city against those who also use it.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if she was the only one selling it, he would shut it down.
Yeah.
But she's not. There are other people who are using it who are bad, and he feels like I need to use it to do the same thing. That's why he took it to stop the bank robber. He didn't know that the bank robber, well, I don't know. I don't think he knew that the bank robber had powers, but he took it anyway, right? So,
just to be bulletproof to walk in there.
just to be able to go in there and stop whoever it was. So
that's what I'm
obviously
saying. He would
knew.
use it against non-powered criminals. I think
Just because of the threat.
Just
that
because
a
of-
criminal,
yeah.
criminal would present.
even if there was only
mean,
one like
have y'all
long-term
been to New
pill
Orleans?
available, I think he would take it.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Have you been to New Orleans? A lot of times, most of the jobs that are available there are city or hospital. You rarely have the middle to have a decent job to pay and have a nice lifestyle. So if you take that, if you notice, even just from the news when I watched the movie, a lot of them on welfare as a police officer, very low income, and then their enemies are who they have to deal with, have money. These drug dealers and the people that just go out and kill, they have money. So as far as the power, he does need to match that, because he knows what's already out there without the pill. So if he does have the pill, he can at least say, I can go home at night. And that's how I looked at it. More of a protection armor, opposed to him just wanting to have the power, because he knows there's more powerful already out there, just how the city is on the lower end.
Yeah, that kind of ties back into what we were saying earlier, how it's important it was set in New Orleans, that it's a character, because this movie would have happened completely different in New York or in Los Angeles.
Why so?
Yeah, because of that desperate population who are, you're either, I mean, it's the American system as it is right now, boiled down to its essence of you've got the top and you have the bottom. And there's really no room in the middle. And we could talk for an entire hour about how New Orleans has been screwed over, especially with, after Katrina, the land developers moving in, kicking out the people who had places to live that they could afford, and now they're becoming upscale. I mean, it's tragic. So these are people desperate for something to hold on to. Like you said, your choices are pretty much hospital, cop, or criminal.
Okay, so my question then, along those lines is, to the question of Frank, and then there's some other things we'll go to, but just to this question of Frank, because I think it says so much about this show and the questions that it's bringing up, and why the setting of New Orleans is so specific. We're talking about Frank, but what are the thoughts on if other cops decided to start taking the pill as well? And where does that go? Like, what if we have the situation where there is the very real world situation of a cop in a bad moment here with someone, the pill is popped, and all of a sudden the situation escalates. Like, is that the thing? Like, does the movie do enough to kind of bring that up, or what are the thoughts on that in the world building of the show, of the movie?
Well, I think we see a little bit of that just because the military group wants it to make super soldiers, and that's sort of a police force of its own in a way. So I think the idea of it is there, but they definitely don't address it on the local level. I don't remember. Do you guys have any thoughts?
The thing that okay, sometimes I have issues with writers, and I think the writers.
I actually looked up who wrote this and where they were from, and I was like, what ethnicity are they? Like, I need to know a lot about this person that wrote this, because I really want to try to understand.
Some of the powers were too on the nose.
Yeah.
They didn't seem too random for me, because it almost seemed like there was a mental aspect to it. Like, Frank wanted to protect people, and therefore his power was to be bulletproof. the main guy, I forgot the other main guy who was trying to sell the power. He wanted to be big, and so he got big.
Yeah.
One of the bodyguards, so he took it. He was strong.
Mhm.
One of the fighters, he was able to fight, like, bend his body with all kinds of direct. So it seemed like a lot of the powers were too on the nose for me, for it to be too so random as it was supposed to be. I'm saying all that to say that I don't know. It just, some of it didn't really feel right. I forgot where I was going with this. What was the question?
Well, no. I mean, let's segue there. I mean, let's talk about that line of some things that don't work for you in this particular.
Yeah, that was one of the things that didn't work
Yeah.
for me. And so the question about Frank and other cops. So therefore, what kind of powers would all the other cops have? Like, are they willing to take that risk that they would blow up, or get some power that they didn't like? Like, if you think about wild cards, in wild cards, they created a drug that sort of did the same thing. They had aces, I think it was aces, deuces, and jokers. And jokers were like the bad guys, they had the powers, they're bad guys. Aces were people who had the premium powers, and the deuces were aces who had like powers that meant nothing. Like, are some of the cops gonna get powers that meant nothing? And what's that gonna do to them? Like, you take this pill and you think you're gonna have this awesome power. And it's like, oh, I can turn stuff into glass or something. Like, we're wacky, off the wall. I know they're supposed to be related to animals, but like, I'm a chameleon. Okay, that works. But how does that work as a cop? So you're gonna be an undercover cop who can blend in with the background. But what if that's not what you want to do?
Yeah.
So it creates a whole different kind of situation for other cops taking the pill.
Yeah.
So
And
that,
also, if like you're a captain or a lieutenant, or if you're trying to be a detective and you're suddenly bulletproof, are you going to be sent in on the front lines instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of it could change their
What Frank tries to do in that one scene.
the power structure inside the force.
yeah, like you may get something that you may not want to be a tank. You may
Yeah.
want to actually be a forensic guy.
Yeah.
You want to do blood splatter. You don't want to be the first one into, a hostage situation. So what does that do to the psyche of the people involved?
Yeah, because that is a discussion we're having in the real world right now of what do we do to escalate or de-escalate the police? And what happens if we suddenly have does it turn into The Boys?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You suddenly have this elite group of and then I think some of that they may just be saving, like, if they do get a sequel, that is a storyline they could follow up on.
100%.
What happens? So that may be why they didn't touch that just yet. But it's definitely a question of what happens when you have an elite group of cops who already feel untouchable, suddenly are literally untouchable.
Any other contributions from Anthony started this off, but we're just talking about some of the other things that we didn't like, or maybe like a little bit lesser from this film.
I'll say, as much as I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I wonder what it would have been like to have cast a actor of color, and what that would have done to the socio-political discussion of the movie. Because in the end, it's just another, I love him, like I said, but it's another white cop in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I actually think that could have added a lot to the connection that he has with Robin, possibly too. If he was a cop of color who maybe had come from Robin's neighborhood or something like that. I think there's a lot of things you can do maybe with that connection as well, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can come back.
I think his daughter. I kind of wanted to. Well, I guess this could happen in a sequel. It's like I wanted to know more about why they were, or how they were using her, maybe particularly. I mean, I understand that, she inherited and they wanted to sort of see how they could use that. But I feel like we didn't really get to see very much of her at all. It was kind of like they got to her and then the movie's over.
She's a plot device, not a character.
Yeah, she was not really a character. And even like if my son was, or my daughter was missing, like feel like I would be a little bit, I don't know, maybe Jamie Foxx is just like too cool. And
You're
that's
not
like-
wrong there.
That's just him. He's just too cool. But I don't feel like I would be as cool as he was.
He's
Like
a
he
little
was,
too together.
yeah, he was a little too together to have a daughter that's been missing and kidnapped. I don't know. Like,
I think I kind of agree with you. Like the second time I watched it, because I watched it again, I realized when they were in the accident and they took his daughter, when he went to go find Newt, he was wearing the same shirt. So like that happened the same day, but he seemed to be really kind of calm
Really
about the
chill.
whole situation
yeah.
at that point. And I don't know, was it because of his military background? Was he special forces? I guess we don't know enough about him, but he just seemed, for it to seem like it just happened,
Yeah.
he seemed to be
And he kind of like, I
level
mean, there's
about it.
this, I think, an intentional sort of father-daughter relationship between him and Robin, you know, and it's almost like, I don't know that I would be taking another child under my wing when my child is missing. Like, I would be so consumed by the fear of what's happening to my child. I don't know. I mean, I see how it, I mean, they did a good job and they showing that relationship, but I don't know.
See,
He's a little bit too cool for me.
I like the movie a lot,
Yeah, no, I like the movie.
but the movie seemed like give me a concept film of a series.
Yeah.
And so there
Yeah, it's
is-
definitely a pilot.
it seemed like it was like a whole season of a series crammed into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And this is what the whole series is kind of, it's like a pitch. This is what the season is going to be like. This is what the show's about. Because we could see more of the development of the relationship between Frank and Robin, between Art and Robin, Art and Frank. That's something that just seems like it would be a stretch over a long period of time, as opposed to how fast a lot of this stuff happens.
Yeah.
And to your point about his daughter, I also wanted a little bit more, but I think the writers tried to get a little bit, well, the writer tried to get a little bit cutesy with it when he had the woman in charge of Telios give us the Henrietta Lacks
Yeah.
Yeah.
history lesson, and that was supposed to tell us about her.
Yeah, that felt out of nowhere.
It did, and it was this long
It's like-
explanation of Henrietta Lacks where you could just told us what you were doing with her.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of giving, and I understand that you want to educate people, but that just seemed like a little bit out of place.
Yeah, literally, I was just like, is this the moment to be telling that story? Like here, right now, is just it felt very out of place, and very just on to what you said earlier about just being on the nose. But let's talk a little bit more about our lead, the Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx, and kind of like we've talked a little bit on how he works in the part, but just other thoughts of him as the lead of this film, and like his journey, and does he work in the part? Is he overall convincing? You know, does he carry this movie as the lead, or does it get stolen from him? That someone else does?
I'll let one of you guys go. I keep going first.
Okay.
I just don't want to go first.
Okay. I think he absolutely nailed it. I think he absolutely did an awesome job carrying this movie. If you look at the cast, I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a great actor, and Courtney B. Vance is in there for all of what,
3-4 minutes.
Greatly
Yeah.
underutilized legend.
Yes.
Other than that, who else do you got? You know, Machine Gun Kelly is, who knows who he is? You know, really.
Yeah.
So, what you
Shout out Machine Gun Kelly, wherever you are.
so what you get is you get Jamie
I see what
Foxx,
you did there.
and Jamie Foxx can carry a movie. I mean,
Yes, he can.
He's very charismatic. He's very funny. I'm sure a lot of that stuff was ad-libbed. He's really good at creating relationships with other actors and other characters, and I think he absolutely carried the movie. If it were not for him and those moments that he gave us where he shows you how he can change, like when he becomes the guy with the can to get in the beer can.
Yes.
And as soon as he walks through the door, everything changes about him. He's a great actor and he's a chameleon. He was perfect for this role because of what it demanded, and I thought he did a really good job despite the lack of abilities in other characters and other actors, he breathed life into the movie, I thought.
Yeah, he is very charismatic. He always has been. And you were talking earlier about how you thought he was a little too cool. I literally think that was his military training kicking in. He switched off dad mode. He switched off and had gone straight into military. I'm on a mission. This is my goal. Whatever I have to do, whether it's make this guy burn himself up, lock this girl in my trunk,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it takes, he's gonna do. And I like the fact that was the other thing I liked about it, is it wasn't easy for him. He had to follow the clues. He had to make the hard choices. It wasn't just a piece of, you know, a cakewalk. He had to find her.
Yeah.
And I like the way he built the rapport both with the girl, Robin and Frank. I thought I loved the fact that Frank didn't trust him. And I love the fact he didn't trust Frank, because he knew Frank was taking the pill. But the fact that they were able to come to understand each other. I love the scene in the car when they're stopped by the train, and he's like, "You gotta let me go. You've gotta let me go, or they're gonna kill me and you." I thought that was a great scene, and I thought he really sold at the end the "I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna."
Anna, Jamie Foxx, what you think?
I mean, he's a great actor. I don't like. He's just such a great actor. There's not really much I can't complain about him. Of course, he was great in the role. I think that Robin did bring in some of those more emotional moments. For me, I really liked her character a lot because he definitely does. I mean, he's in that military mode, and you know, he's throwing her in her trunk and doing what he has to do. And I think she really sort of brings out the emotional side of the film. So I think she's essential as well.
Yeah, she's the one that kind of gets him to break out of that and start being human.
And also, I mean, in that scene when with the Biggie, when Frank and
With the Hulk? The Hulk character?
yeah, with the Hulk.
Yeah. Like Biggie Smalls?
That's the guy's name.
That's what they call him.
His name is Biggie.
He's back?
That's
Yes.
just what they
Good.
call him.
Gotcha. So with the Hulk,
Yeah, with the Hulk.
Yeah, the guy from
when-
Westworld, right?
When Art and Frank first meet, and Frank has to give him the line that Robin told him so that Art doesn't kill him. I mean, it's just a sort of another, like, he would have killed him if Robin had not, you know, put her heart into that situation. So
Yeah, for me, I think the actor playing Robin, you have her name up there. I don't know. It's I can't remember. her name.
Dominique.
Yeah, that's right.
Fishback.
Dominique Fishback almost steals the movie. I think for a teen actor, she has so many levels to it. And
I don't think she's
and-
I don't think she's a teen.
She's not a teen.
I don't
In
think
real
so.
life?
In real
Let's
life.
look up. Let's look it up.
I think she's like 28.
Oh, she's
29.
30.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
God.
Yeah.
She's a grown, she's a
Wow.
grown woman.
Whoa. I was not
Oh,
expecting
that
that.
changes the whole
But she's-
interpretation of
she's
her.
like, she's 30 years old. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because in the movie she's still in high school. She's a senior.
she's
That's
like
actually one of my
Lord.
favorite moments when she has the fantasy about doing the rap
Yeah.
battle on her teacher,
Yeah.
which
that
was
was funny.
sweet,
It
by
was
the
great.
way.
That was
But then
very
when it was happening,
Yeah.
as it gets to the end, I was like, this is a bit much. And then we reveal it's all in her head. I was like, oh, okay.
Anthony, think you were just
Yeah,
blowing my
I
mind.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah. She
Oh,
was-
no, please.
When it came
No,
out,
I'm glad you said
she was 29. She was 28 when they filmed
You
it.
just blew my world. I
about
had no
Dawson's
idea to
Creek
even look that up.
casting.
Like I was like, oh sure, of course she's a teen. Okay.
Well, I wonder if she's as good as she is.
Well, there you go.
And
then.
she's also, I'm just now looking at her IMDb. She's been in some stuff.
She was in the Henrietta Lacks movie.
Yeah,
Oh, was she?
she's
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
she's Judas in the Black Messiah,
Yeah, she was in that.
and The Hate You Give.
All right, there you go.
So some other big projects.
All right, so shout out to Dominique Fishback for bringing it in that part and for for looking way younger than I thought you.
I totally bought her as a teenager. I absolutely bought it.
100%. So no, so I'll give it to you on that. Okay, so some fun stuff here. Looking at the powers, you kind of talked about it a little bit at the top, Anthony. Which of the powers was the coolest, and which of them was just like that was just dumb that we saw?
I mean, if it were me, I would want Frank's power, the bulletproof. I don't want to be cold. I don't like cold.
Yeah.
And I don't like it to be too hot. I don't want things to melt when I touch them. You know, I don't want to have to break my bones to have more bones. You know, don't want to have all this loose skin. So yeah, just make me bulletproof, and I'll just avoid the bullets.
And I do have to say, I love the touch of the fact that when he got shot just as the power was fading, that he got the welt and that his eye stayed messed up through the whole rest of the movie. That was a nice little piece of continuity that a lot of other movies would have not done at all.
Yeah, 100%. That and we saw the same thing with Machine Gun Kelly. You know, America's great actor. Is that? I'm sorry. Again, shout out to you, brother. Whatever you are. But just the repercussions of there are consequences for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And these
He had
constant reminders. That there is a price to pay. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was saying the scars. I think.
Yeah. That for all of that, for everything you take, there is a price for this power that you're getting, and I kind of like that morality of that. That this power doesn't come without a sacrifice or a give in some way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I do agree with you. Like I was saying, it's I think just the nature of fiction that these powers were a little on the nose for most of these people, but that's just the nature of we're telling a story.
Yeah.
In the real world, it probably would have been a little more random. You know, the real world.
Yeah.
But of the ones that got out there, I actually like Chameleon Guy a lot. And I thought the way they did that power, the way they did it on screen, worked really well.
It was cool.
Like, he blended in nicely. I also love the fact they did the bit with the throw paint on him. That way you can still see him.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
And also, like when he's moving, you can sort of see the movement.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really
Of
really
the
good.
things
But
he was reflecting off
yeah,
of. That was
the things
good.
he was reflecting off of. Yeah.
The effects were really good.
Yeah, the effects were really great on that.
But if I could pick a power, I would either go with claw shrimp power that Jamie Foxx had, just because it was so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Like, don't mess with me. Or the head thug who was super strong.
Yeah.
Just I've always wanted to have that super strength. I'm gonna pound my way in through this door. You can't stop me.
I just want to say, I think.
The ice one was just so disappointing.
Yeah.
How so?
I mean, it was just like she couldn't even leave the cage with it.
She couldn't freeze the glass.
At least
and
Machine Gun Kelly was like in his apartment. I mean, he had some scars, but he, you know, he couldn't. Yeah, I don't know.
He could burn up people who were messing with it.
Yeah, he could burn up some people who were messing. The ice girl, she couldn't even leave the little.
And it killed her.
Yeah, and it killed her.
Well, you know, I guess they were establishing that, you know, she maybe wasn't the brightest bulb when they kind of.
Well,
brought her in.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
but
true.
Anthony, you had something else you were adding on?
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but
Talk to me.
I wanted to talk about, or I just wanted to mention, this is a superhero movie, but we didn't see our superhero have a power until the very end. So we talked about Robin, her internal power being the power for words, because we saw her, you know, talk her way out of situations or use words to help people. With Frank, it was just his determination, not Frank, Art.
Yeah.
With Art, his determination in all these situations. Like I realized, again, the second viewing, that he beat everybody up. Like he took everybody out in that room where he was the last man standing, he and the other guy. And I was so busy focusing on the girl freezing to death that I didn't realize that he was literally taking everyone out in that room. And he didn't use any powers.
Yeah, it does go to show that, you know, stress that point, just because you have powers doesn't mean you can't be stopped.
And also, I mean, one of the first scenes, right, is him taking out Machine Gun Kelly, Newt.
Shout out.
Who is like on fire.
Yes.
and holds him under the water. You know, like he didn't need powers
to take out.
Well, and how does he stop the Hulk? I mean, he literally blows up the Hulk. I mean,
Yeah.
just like, so it's, I think that's a really great point, Anthony, and about, one, and how it defines the character in a couple of ways. How he doesn't want to use this power because of how destructive it is. So basically, he's doing everything he can as a soldier to just with his training to get the job done without having to resort to this power. That power is literally the last thing he wants to do because it's so destructive. And I think that was very smart from them, and from a character building standpoint, to kind of give like a code to him that he truly understands the danger and the cost of these pills. So whatever he can do to not use them but still function is what he's going to do.
Yeah, because he almost kills Robin and when he does finally have to use his power. He kills a lot of people, almost kills her. I love the fact he doesn't kill directly the head bad lady, that she gets squashed.
Yeah.
You know, she gets the Disney villain death. You know, like the
Why
main
so?
hero didn't kill her.
Why so? Do you think that changes something for him if he?
I think for a lot of American audiences it does, because it's always been acceptable for James Bond to kill like 60 mooks on his way into the main boss, but once he gets to him, well, I can't kill you in cold blood. You know, it's stupid American morality. I can't be a killer.
Yeah.
You just killed 16 guys getting in this room. Yeah, but you know, they didn't have names. They don't matter.
And you were contemplating something. You got something, or are you okay?
No, I was gonna make a stupid joke about Disney villains. But
Oh, go for it.
I'll leave that.
This is
I'll
always
leave
the
it.
place for that.
No, I'll leave that.
I just watched Cinderella like 2 nights ago, so I'm here for it.
So we mentioned a little bit as we kind of got about like 10 minutes or so left here. We mentioned a little bit earlier talking about the ideas of a sequel. Like, do you have, like, if there was a sequel, what you would like to see, a few things that you would really like to see in that?
Frank becoming the villain.
Ooh.
And I think that's where he's tracking. Like, some of the best villain hero stories are, what is it, where the hero and the villain started out as friends?
The unbreakable thing.
Yeah, they started out as friends, and with Frank, in his mind, he's what is villains? They're the hero of their own story. Frank seems perfect for that. He seems perfect for, I'm doing this to protect my city, and like you said, I'm going to do it at any cost.
Yeah.
Whoever gets hurt, whoever gets in my way, they're just going to be in my way, and I'm going to take care. Frank seems like he's perfect for that, and the only person that's going to be able to stop him is Art.
Yeah, we saw over and over again through the movie how far Frank's willing to go to do what he thinks is right. He takes the pill, goes into the bank robbery, stands up to his boss. His boss points him in the direction, and he keeps going after Art.
I mean, there's just no way that people are gonna stop coming after Art's daughter.
Yeah.
She's too valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, she's way too valuable. I'm not sure that like she could ever lead a normal life, ever. So I don't know if he's gonna be on the run. I don't know that they would come back to New Orleans necessarily. But it would be interesting to see a different setting or another city that they are testing power in, or something like that. I don't know. And then obviously we'll just see like Robin in the background on the TV screen as a famous rapper, living a happy life, unbothered by all of this because she deserves some happiness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that would be like the third movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where she comes and intervenes between Frank and Art to stop them from killing each other using her words.
Using her words.
Right.
Yes.
Gary, did you have something about what you would like to see in the sequel?
I know what I don't want to see, and I don't want to
Tell
see
me.
them kill off Art's daughter, because that is almost always the fridging is almost one of the first things Hollywood always loves to do, to push the hero. I don't want that. I would like to.
And especially when she's so powerful, sometimes it's that Jean Grey thing that we have to. The only way we can deal with her is to kill her.
Yeah, we don't know what to do with her. We don't know how to keep her from, taking over the story. So, But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see them deal with what you were saying, Frank doing what he thinks is the right thing, creating this powered police force, and just abusing it, thinking he's doing the right thing, and someone's got to come in and either talk him down or he goes full Homelander.
Homelander flashbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
what do you think? The seats,
Sure.
things you
Well,
maybe
see-
you want to see, and especially don't want to see.
What I think is gonna, I don't think they're gonna make Frank the villain, even though like I feel like I've made a pretty compelling argument this whole panel. I don't know why that could happen. I don't know that that's where they're gonna go with it. I feel like they're gonna bring in another like military kind of person that's gonna try to go after,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be that, and they're gonna maybe kill the daughter. But I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know.
Just to check in with the audience, if anyone had any answers, the desire to see a sequel and what you would like to see in the sequel, if you had an answer.
Yeah. Do you guys want to see a sequel? Just like yes,
Yes.
yes.
Not as a movie, as a series.
You want a series?
You want a series?
Because it's more scientific as far as what they want to do with the daughter. So I would like to see that kind of unfold in the different ways it can go with who's the powers that be are in control.
And an interesting point about that is that I think a series of Jamie and his daughter kind of on the run could
Yeah.
be just a hell
I'd
of a
rather
series
see
Yeah.
a
to kind of
series.
follow.
Yeah.
It's suddenly the Incredible Hulk. It's twice a week.
Yeah.
He claw shrimps out.
Yeah.
Yes, or just like the people he encounters like on the way, because I mean with things like this, like we just saw it in New Orleans, but as we
It could
know,
be bigger than
who
what.
knows like where this thing
That's
has
what I'm
been,
saying.
at this point.
Do we think Jamie Foxx would sign on to a series as
Pro-
an actor? I mean,
If you show up with a big enough dump truck of
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
We talking about Netflix, so
Yeah.
But he's also hosting his own game show right now, so that might make it difficult for him to do something
Timing
long term
wise.
like that.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the beauty of it is they could spend a month and a half, 6 to 8 weeks, and knock out the whole series. That's what Netflix. That's what they do. They don't.
Oh, I didn't talk about my favorite, like one of my favorite moments.
Well, I got a question about that.
Okay.
My next question is, because as we're getting down on time here, I got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Number 1 is, what did you like best or favorite moments from the film?
Okay, excellent. I was just jumping on top of your question.
No,
sorry.
we're ready. I love it.
When they're in the veterinary clinic, and he wakes up and is like, "What are you doing? You're doing this? What's going on?" And then they have that moment. He gives such an inspiring speech to her about, just how the society uses people, and I mean, it's such a. I tried to like record it, to like transcribe it, but then it was too much writing, and I'm sorry guys. I was like, I'm gonna have to pause this like 100 times to write this down.
She didn't commit.
I didn't commit.
That's when you go to IMDb quotes to see if someone's done it for
Yeah,
you.
I didn't commit to the notes. I'm sorry, but it was such a good speech, and it was one of my favorite moments. And then they also called back to it in that moment when she sent Frank in.
Yeah.
She used his line from that. So, anyways.
Yeah, I think that was a highlight of Jamie Foxx in that moment, was
Yeah.
kind of showing
It was
what kind of like he's so good at.
Yeah.
It's like that connection.
that connection. Yeah. Oh, it was great. You did great.
Cool.
I really loved this. Touching off of that scene, I love when he made her rap battle at him.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
That was cool. And I had my other favorite scene and just flopped right out of my head. Give me a sec.
And she was able
Come
to
back
do
to
it.
me. Come back to me.
The vet clean scene was one of my favorite scenes. But the other favorite scene is a scene that reflects the chemistry between Frank and Robin when she is on the earwig telling him, do the Clint Eastwood thing.
Oh yeah.
And he does it with the guard.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a funny moment.
The other one is when Joseph Gordon-Levitt puts the towel on and walks out of the bathroom.
Yes.
With her mom.
That was some zany.
That
And it's
was
like,
hilarious.
honey, and she's like, who the hell is this white man in my house?
And why is he naked?
Why is he naked?
And
That
then the
was-
callback at the
that was a
end.
great
Why do you have her mom's phone?
Yeah.
Why do you go to that? Why do you go? No.
Yeah, it's one of those moments I was like, okay, that might
was
be,
funny.
it's funny as hell, but that might have been way too much for what that moment required.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, I don't know if he had to go through that measure to do
Yeah.
that. He probably could have done something a lot simpler,
Yeah.
but the joke landed.
Yeah, and you know he knew he was pushing those guys' buttons.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, one of my favorite moments is one of the few scenes we get with Vance, where we see Frank talking to him about how, and drives home the point of how much New Orleans has been screwed over, because it highlights his point of view and how desperate he is and how desperate everybody else is to get their hands on these pills.
Well, and that's the thing I hate that was so underutilized about Vance, because I still don't know which side Vance is on.
There had
You
to
know,
be
the chief of police.
some cut scenes.
Oh yeah.
There's no way that they had Courtney B. Vance and they did not have more scenes with him that were just cut out for time. There's just no way.
Which I'll never understand why Netflix cuts anything for time. They know we're streaming it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know that we binge 10 hours a day anyways. So
You
like,
know, they let Army of the Dead be 15
Yeah.
hours for that.
Oh, Jesus. Let
Yeah.
save us from that. Any kind of final, before I toss it to the panel here, any kind of final thoughts here from the audience? Cool, thank you. So in our last few minutes here, I'll just take it to the panel for y'all to go one by one and just kind of talk about final thoughts, Project Power, as we kind of close this out.
I mentioned it earlier with Project Power. I really liked it. I think Netflix is going in the right direction with Old Guard and this movie and Raising Dion, which no one talks about enough. And I really want to say, I really want to see Netflix continue, and I want them. Hopefully, the numbers are really good that they will continue to want to do stuff like this, and have people like Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan wanting to do these things and partnering with them, so we can get more of stuff like this. Like, what's the pantheon of African American superheroes? The Blank Man,
Meteor Man, there you go.
we have the Black Panther, but I don't really count that because that's Disney.
Well, let's not forget the great Wesley Snipes.
And that's pretty much that's what we got. I want more.
Yeah. We absolutely need more. I would love to see this come back as a series, even if we only get a movie. But a series would be preferable. But even if we just get and I just love Jamie Foxx. I'll watch almost anything he does, and to see him do something cool with superpowers that nobody has done before. I'd like to see them tap into wild cards you mentioned earlier to come at that angle, and just do something unique.
yeah.
Final thoughts, Hannah?
I mean, it's just a great movie, and I want to see. I agree. I would rather see a series than another movie, because there's just so much more that I want. But if they do a sequel, they could also do a third movie. That would be okay too. I guess.
You want the whole trilogy?
Yeah,
Yes.
give me a whole trilogy. Yeah, I think that would be great. But yeah, it was a great movie, and it just highlighted so many things, so many themes within the Black community, and there's so many levels that we can't get into in just 1 hour.
Yeah.
Of how the society uses Black bodies, even just in the experimentation that they initially did on art. I mean, there's just so many levels to this, and I think it would be great to explore it deeper in a series.
Yeah, we can't talk about it in an hour. They couldn't even do it in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, no,
so
they
there's
can't.
a lot of stuff to do that.
Another reason to do
Yeah.
a series. We
Yeah.
can dig into these
Let's go
social
into it.
issues.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're at time, so please feel free to just kind of go onto the app if you like. There's always a rating, there's a rating star there where you can kind of just rate the panel. Just kind of let us know how we did. We'd appreciate that just for the feedback. Otherwise, thanks to my panel, Anna, Gary, Anthony, for your contributions and just your thoughts and for your plugs. People, please check out their sites and podcasts and their panels that they'll be hosting, or whatever else you're doing this weekend. So just thank you all so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.